The Soldiers of Ares. Chapter 36. This had got the barbarian's attention. You would defend your enemy. Why, because she is a woman, or because she is unarmed? He said as he held his battle axe up again. Neither. I just couldn't wait another second to end you, Achilles said. And then it began. Diomedes took the first strike when he tried to bring his axe down on Achilles, but he was easily dodged. Soon the battle went into full swing. Diomedes was surprisingly fast for someone of his size, and his strikes were swift and accurate. But there was no way he could match Achilles in speed. He dodged everything that was thrown at him. He managed to land a few blows on the barbarian, but they were ineffective. No matter how hard the strike was, it just didn't go through his amalgam of metal and leather. Oh, you're starting to notice, aren't you? My armor is not just for show. It has been blessed with very powerful magic, and even if you get past that, my very skin is harder than stone. It will take a lot more than your blue glow stick to cut me, the giant barbarian said. At these words, Achilles pushed back and held his blade ready. It was already glowing blue, but then it let out a kind of pulse. The blade's glow turned more violent now, and the sword looked as though it was covered in blue flames. Then he took one swift slash aimed at his foe's large chest. The slash cut straight through the bearskin and the metal underneath it. His chest was visible now, and there was a cut on it. Achilles' blade was now stained with the barbarian king's blood. Diomedes staggered back, and he was shocked at the sight of his own blood. Perhaps I should not take you so lightly, he said, gritting his teeth. He held his axe with both his arms, and it started to get bigger. The axe began to change its color as well. It did not glow, but the entire battle axe turned bright red, like it had just been soaked in blood. Now tremble at the power of my blood-seeker, the axe that can cut through anything on earth, Diomedes shouted, and brought the axe down on his enemy. The very ground shook at the strike. The land beneath them cracked and fissures appeared. The entire battlefield was covered in dust, all by just one blow from the great axe. But when the dust began to clear, the barbarian king saw something that made him stop moving. The axe had not made contact with Achilles or even his blade. Instead, it had been blocked by a large circular shield, and the axe had no effect on it. The shield was black and made from the same metal as the stick's armor, and it was also highly decorated with the ancient symbol of the earth. And even the barbarian Diomedes knew what it was. Perhaps your axe can cut anything on the earth, but cutting the earth itself is a different matter, Achilles said. Then, with a mighty thrust, he pushed away the axe. Diomedes was wide open now, and within a matter of seconds his entire body was covered in wounds and blood. Diomedes staggered and fell back onto the ground. Achilles stood above him with his shield, and his now blue and blood-red blade at the barbarian's neck. No, it can't be, but that's the Terra shield, forged against Troy. And you wear pitch-black armor, Diomedes said. You can't be. You're supposed to be dead. Achilles did not bother to answer the fallen champion. He was about to deliver his final blow, but Diomedes was not done yet. He slammed the ground with his axe, and the ground below them crumbled. In the confusion, he ran back towards his chariot. Achilles had staggered a little, not enough to let the barbarian go. The barbarian king had decided that running for his life was the best option for now. But then, suddenly, they heard a rumble from behind, and Diomedes looked on in glee as his 4 man-eating horses came charging towards them. "Ha! It seems you missed your chance. My pets are coming to my rescue. It doesn't matter even if you are the great Achilles, they will still eat you alive," Diomedes said. "And nobody will save you now." Achilles couldn't help smiling at this. He turned to the barbarian and said, "Yes, it seems nobody will." Diomedes finally looked up to see what was really happening. His precious pets weren't running towards his rescue. They were running away from something that was chasing them from the sky. As they got closer, Diomedes saw that a very heavily armed helicopter was firing at his horses, and his pets were merely running to escape its bullets. The first rays of daylight came, and they could see a symbol painted on the side of the helicopter, an owl with an olive branch in its mouth, which was the symbol of Athena. Along with the helicopter was a man with mechanical bronze wings, also chasing the horses. He was shooting at them with the 2 machine guns he had in each arm. And bringing up the rear of this very weird sight was Mia and Hedger, driving along in their now 3-wheeled truck. Maximus was watching all this from a distance, and he wasn't sure if it was all real, or whether he had finally gone insane. He had helped Rex the best he could, and now he watched as the man-eating horses ran right past Achilles. Diomedes had managed to grab onto one of his horses, and he was now riding on it as far away from this place as possible. Seeing their champion run away, the remaining soldiers, including Captain Sharp, decided it was best to follow him. The surviving soldiers were able to fit inside a single jeep. Achilles started chasing after them in one of the jeeps they left behind, but he came to a stop when he saw the state Rex was in. As the helicopter came nearer, he also signaled for them to land. But it was the metal-winged man who landed first. "What are you doing?" "They're going to escape," he said. Achilles looked at Rex and said, "One of our comrades needs immediate medical attention, and his life is more important to me than gaining a few prisoners of war." The winged man just nodded to this. Maximus could not tell if he was angry about this because he wore a mask. The mask was strange, as it had no openings for the mouth or nose. It looked like a full bronze oval-shaped plate with 2 holes in it for the eyes alone. In fact, his entire body was covered in a bronze suit that matched his wings. His suit also had silver designs on it, and a silver owl symbol on his chest. He was clearly a member of Athena's army, but Maximus had never seen a soldier with wings before. The helicopter landed and the winged man said, "Don't worry, we have some medical supplies aboard the copter and we can get him to Athens fast enough." The blades of the helicopter finally stopped spinning and its large side doors opened. Out of that 4 heavily armed Athenian soldiers stepped out and stood in formation. Then the pilot stepped out of the cockpit and the other soldiers greeted him with a salute. He was wearing high-grade armor which was light blue and the edges were lined with silver. The markings on the armor were clearly Greek like that of Achilles. He was also wearing a dark blue cape with Athena's symbol on it. It was the kind that only very high-ranking officers in the army used. He did not have any weapons on him, but Maximus was sure he probably had them safely tucked away in summoning crystals. But he did hold an ancient Greek helmet in his hand, complete with a large blue plume on top that looked like it came from the same set as his armor. From his face, it looked like he was in his 40s, but it still maintained some striking good features. His hair was black, but with streaks of gray mixed in with it on the sides. He also had a neatly kept beard, which also carried strands of gray. He had brilliant gray eyes that went nicely with his hair, and they seemed to house a lot of wisdom. His armor was also decorated with various metals. He seemed to be the man in charge, but when he saw Achilles, he smiled and said, "Never fear with nobody here." Maximus was still kneeling next to Rex's unconscious body, and he only got up once the soldiers had taken Rex inside the helicopter to get him treated. Mia had managed to drive the truck back to them somehow, even with one of its tires completely shredded off. She and Hedger got out of the truck and helped Daedalus out as well. The winged man glided to them immediately and hugged Daedalus. "Father, you're alive," he said. It dawned on Maximus that Daedalus had a son and one with mechanical wings too. But of course, his father did not return the sentiments as he was still off in his own world. "Icarus, your father is still not well," Achilles said. "Ah, yes. Ajax told us about the predicament Dad had gotten himself into, but not to worry, we have the cure right here," Icarus said. He turned to the man in blue armor and said, "General, the antidote, please." The general searched his pockets and pulled out a small bottle with some green liquid inside. He handed it over to Icarus, who helped his father drink it. Nothing happened at first, but then a smile appeared on the old inventor's face and he said, "It's so good to see you as well, my son." Daedalus seemed to have finally made a full recovery. Maximus was happy to see the father and son reunited, but also a bit sad as this was something he could never have. Mia and Hedger came over and stood by his side now. "Quite a cool rescue, huh?" Hedger said, and Maximus was glad to see that his friends were all right. "How's Rex?" Mia asked. "Pretty bad," Maximus said, "but they're treating him inside now and he's the toughest bull I've ever met. I'm sure he'll make it." They nodded to this and Hedger asked, "Rex is beaten worse, so no worries. Any idea on what's going on, though?" Maximus shook his head and said, "Not sure, but that Acurus guy seems to be Daedalus's son. As for the guy in charge, I think his name is General Nobody." "What kind of name is Nobody?" Mia asked, confused. Achilles, who had overheard their conversation, turned to them. There was actually a small smile on the serious warrior's face. "Nobody is a nickname we have for this guy," he said. "You see, once when he was caught by a Cyclops tribe chief, he told him his name was Nobody. So when he escaped and started attacking the Cyclops, it started screaming that nobody was attacking him. The other Cyclops, thinking that then nothing was wrong, did not bother to enter their chief's cave. General Nobody came up to them now and said it was a silly move, but luckily Cyclops weren't known for their intellectual decision-making skills. And as for the name, Nobody, my friends still use it, just to annoy me." He then held out his hand for Maximus to shake and said, "Allow me to introduce myself. I am General Odysseus of the Athenian army." This has been a chapter from Book 1 of the new World Odyssey series, The Soldiers of Ares. Links to the books in the bio. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this chapter, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. See you in the next chapter.